My name's Jason Cole Major. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and New York, New York. I came out to Taiwan in 2013 just to visit some friends and kind of fell in love with being out in Asia. So as an artist, I thought I could take maybe a year and just try working in Taipei. And once I got there, I realized it was going to be a long term. I eventually got an artist visa, and that gave me another 3 years to decide what I wanted to do. And in that time, I just started making artwork about Taiwan's political and cultural history and how those were impacted by China, Japan, and their relationship with the United States. I think when I was a kid, my parents wanted me to be a priest. They sent me to Catholic school, and Catholic school made me fall in love with religion in a much bigger sense. And it made me think that being a priest was too narrow of a path. And then I think puberty kicked in, which meant, you ignored everything and you become an atheist. So that would be my short term. My parents, I think after that, were hoping that I would go into business and follow my father. But started a band when I was in high school, and most of my friends then were all artists. So then I just continued on and went to art school, and that's where it clicked. I think a lot of people, when they're younger, go to college because they need to go to college because that's your responsibility. I was doing that a little bit, but this really clicked, thinking like, oh, I actually love what I'm doing. So I took maybe a couple months with my friend, and we traveled to Europe, and then I just fell in love with really, really seeing art and art history. So I just knew this was what I wanted. So when I came back, I became just like a full-time painter. So, yeah. Before coming to Taiwan, my work had been very personal. I did a series of paintings and drawings that were about, my father had a heart attack and he had an open heart. He had open heart surgery and he had a scar. So I created a whole series of paintings that were just a single line on multiple pieces of paper that kind of had the sense of breathing. I would later come back to this because these patterns would be what my paintings now, like the use of a grid and the use of patterns, and taking things that have like a lot of meaning, like these, like the Japanese household symbols, taking those and treating them with like life, the way I did with these images of these scars. I'd evolve on that, and it would become, I guess, political. These symbols would start making a reference to other symbols, the way if you were to look at World War II in Europe, if you were to put the German symbol next to the US symbol, next to the French symbol and the British, they would have meaning. Everyone would read that, and you would understand, like, oh, we're talking about conflict. So the same happened once I came to Taiwan. I started making paintings that were, I would come up with a symbol that represented China, a symbol that represented Taiwan, and several symbols that would represent the United States, which for me was my personal role in the paintings, so that the paintings didn't seem as if I was just appropriating the culture, and that I was actually engaging with the culture and interacting with them. Art isn't, it's not this pretty thing on the wall that should be passive, that it should be something that you look up and it begs questions, and it should excite you to want to ask questions and to talk about it with other people, and that if the work addresses politics and religion, that this is okay, that we're not making these things, obviously, to decorate homes, that we're trying to make objects, paintings, to promote dialogue with people. A lot of people will see, like in the works, certain politics that they don't want to talk about right now, relationships between China and the United States and Taiwan and Japan, that this is stressful, and why would you want that? Like if looking at art is supposed to be a form of enjoyment, why would you want that in your enjoyment? And that it should be there. It should be provoking conversations and dialogues, and to just show up with an open mind. A member of the foundation reached out to me. They were familiar with my work, and they were familiar that I had been addressing issues with Taiwan, Japan, and the United States, and felt that my coming to Japan could inform on that work much better. So I agreed, and 2 months, I feel maybe at my age, seems like a long trip, but now I'm realizing you couldn't have done it in anything less than a couple months. There's so much to take on. The foundation had far more access to locals that I could have never engaged with without them. There's no way you could have access to those without people who actually knew them. It just doesn't work that way. You can't walk in and interact. And that's the insane part of this, was once actually interacting with these monks and priests and realizing just how human they are. I was most overwhelmed with this one aspect of, in their presence, you're completely aware that they have no ego. But ironically, we were together and having a good time singing songs together, and I realized they were the coolest people I had ever seen. And how could cool exist without this ego and like this perfect balance of who they were? So there was a big influence on why I ended up wanting to make the paintings about them. I had set in my mind to come here and make paintings about the politics of the United States and Japan. Specifically in the 1850s, Commander Perry came to Japan and demanded Japan open up and stop what was known as isolationism. And to me that seems horribly sad, because it kind of broke what you know of like old traditional Japanese culture, and it would be the end of the Edo period and moving into the Meiji period, which is probably the biggest transformation in Japan's history. And it makes me sad that the United States had a little bit of a play in that, or a lot. But it is what this place is now. I suppose my point is that history is traditionally what I would have wanted to make my work about, but it was after being in the presence of these monks that I knew that this is what I wanted to document. It was not so much the complications between the countries, but this like simple beauty that is so prevalent here.